Hi, so my name is Caitlin Davis, and I'm here today to walk you through my room design project. So I decided to go ahead and do a gen ed classroom setup instead of the intervention specialist. So the design that I have come up with would be just for a traditional gen ed classroom that I would hope to work in at some point. So starting off, I have the door right here. So that's where students will first walk in. If I move over to this direction, I'll have student cubbies and mailboxes. I ideally would love to have either the lockers or cubbies, and then above that have different like mailboxes for each student so I can give them papers back, whether they turned in homework or anything, any like information papers, or if we happen to do like paper copies of field trip forms or letters or whatever, I can go ahead and just put those back there, and then they know every day, check their mailbox, and they'll take anything home with them, and then it's already right by their stuff, so they can just put it in their locker, put it in the cubby, put it right in their backpack, and then I could even have them have folders within that so that everything is in one folder versus just a bunch of loose papers. So that's kind of what I was thinking for that. And then when I move along this wall over here, I want to have a sink in my room. I really would love that to be able to do projects that might get a little messy that we can still do in my room because we have access to being able to wash our hands and clean off, and just for multi-purpose things. And then along this back wall over here, I really would love to have like a full counter and with cabinets underneath and above it to be able to hold and store things. And then this would also be my math and science section. So I would love to store like the math and science supplies in these cabinets, and any like math or science posters or references that they would need could be posted on the cabinets and any extra wall space. But in the middle over here, I want to have like bookshelving shelves versus actual cabinets, and that would be to hold any of the supplies that I need for my small group instruction that'll happen right here. So I want to have that directly behind so that I can get to it easy if I happen to need something during my small group instruction time. So, and then I also have a trash can right over here by the sink just for easy access, and it's also kind of out of the way from the student desks and stuff that and right by their cubbies, so if they need to throw something away, it could be very simple. I also would have a pencil sharpener over here. And then when I move down to this corner over here, I want this to be my reading corner, and I ideally would love to have some alternative seating in this area, such as a one of those bungee cord chairs. I think those are pretty cool. I loved them as a kid, but then also gives that like kind of where you can bounce if you need to within reason, so get that little extra movement, but really focusing on reading in this corner. I also would really like to include like a calm down kit in this corner so that if we're overdoing like large group things or at the desk, then they can come over if they get, overwhelmed or feeling big emotions, or if they just need a second to take a breath and breathe, they can come over to this corner as well. And so that'll be available for them to be able to take that little emotional brain break. And then along this wall, I want to have shelves. And for these two right here, I want them to be primarily books available for students. So my classroom library, any of the books that I have for them to read for free reading or for assigned leveled reading, those will all go there, and they'll be labeled so they know which ones they can use. Obviously, they'll be able to use pretty much any of them, just if they're in the leveled sections, preferably staying within their level. So that's for my reading corner. And then as I move over here to this, I'd like to have more shelving that just has supplies, and this shelf I really would want to be focused a lot on the supplies that we need for our centers. And on the top, I would like to have like baskets or bins that have each individual paper activity, if we need paper or copies for the specific centers that day, I want to have those available so students can find them easily and get them easily, and then also eliminate the time of passing things out to make it just a little bit quicker. That does involve the extra transition, so that would also be something that I have to observe and see how that works out. But starting out, I would like to work with that system. And then that also goes along with this shelf over here. Same kind of concept, just any extra supplies that I have that need to have a home, those can go there. So then in the corner on this shelf, I want to have a pencil sharpener. I like that it's kind of out of the way in the corner, away from the desks and away from like the small groups in the reading corner, to hopefully minimize the amount of distraction that if students are working in those areas, then it's far enough away that hopefully they would not be as distracted as if it was right in the middle of it. So that's kind of what I was thinking for the pencil sharpener. And then I have my teacher desk right here in the corner, and in front of it I'd like to have some kind of like cubby stand, or even just like a basket on my desk where students can turn in their homework and folders. Super easy for them to come in and find it, have it right there, and then when I go to grade, if I need it or need it for quick reference, I have it right by my desk as well. So it's easy, accessible for me and for the students, and also helps prevent from losing papers by leaving them in their desk all day or in their cubbies all day. It goes as soon as they come in the door, they put it there, and any of the activities that we do in class that I'll need to grade will go there as well. So it's a one-stop place to hopefully eliminate as much losing paper as possible. Right next to my desk, I have another trash can, also kind of out of the way, easy access for all of us, students and myself. And then behind my desk, I'd love to have a shelf where I can keep any like binders or teaching resources that I have, assessment binders, really anything that applies to curriculum for me personally, as well as if I have DRA curriculum, Journey, any of those kind of things. I'd like to have all of those resources right here, right behind my desk, where it's easy to get to, but then also kind of out of the way so it's not in the middle of where everyone needs to be doing stuff. And then I'd also like a filing cabinet where I can keep copies, but then also like confidential things like IEP information, student assessments. So that would also have the capability of being locked. So I really like the idea of having that there and having that available to be multi-purpose, but then also be able to maintain confidentiality. So then as I move this direction, I would love to have a smart board in my classroom. I have seen those currently being used in classrooms, and it is amazing. So I would love to have one of those to be able to use within my classroom. This area of the room is going to be designated for large group lessons or projects or things that we work on that are going to involve a lot of space needed. So I would like to have a rug there that kind of designates that spot for students to sit on and say that that's our large group section. And then this side of the room, I really want to focus on the literacy aspect of my classroom. So I would include a word wall is really where I'd like to have it over here. And then any like literacy related posters, anchor charts, anything that we have worked on as a class that can be used as a reminder of what we've learned from the content that we've covered. Just as simple, easy, quick reminders for students to be able to look at, and when they're working at their desk or something, just as a quick refresh, and then have that available for them as well as needed. As I move over to this corner here, I really want to have a bulletin board or some kind of posters on the wall that'll lay out the classroom expectations that I have, and then procedures and schedule. So I'd really like for this corner right here just to be pretty much devoted solely to that, so students have a strong awareness of what my expectations are, what we do during the day, and then I'd like to have the schedule available for all students in general, but especially for those students who need that extra comfort of knowing that they can look up and see, here's what we're doing from, 10:45 to 11, we're at outdoor recess, or we have lunch, or we do reading centers at this time. So to be able to have that publicly posted so that they are able to track that without having to constantly ask what we're doing next. Now, that still may happen, but just as a precaution or preventative thing to be able to put in place to hopefully eliminate some of that stress and whatever comes along with that. So then as I move over closer to the door, I want to have a tech station, and this would be a spot where students can store their Chromebooks, plug them in, charge them, anything tech related. And if I had a student who had certain things that if they were hard of hearing and they had different things that they needed to be able to have on so that they can hear better through, if that's being using some kind of microphone, whatever, I would kind of store that in this area too, so then it's easy for them to get to, and then me as well. So anything technology-wise that students would need for accommodations, I would keep there as appropriate. If there's certain things that need to be kept in a better place, not necessarily as easily accessible, I could move those over back to where my desk is. But for things that are appropriate to just be in a tech station, I could do that. And then on the wall above it, I love to have a bulletin board that has the different program logins that they need to know for the different programs that they'll work on their Chromebooks. So it's easy for them to find what their login is if they forget, because I myself would even forget. So just having that as an extra reminder. And then above that, I would also like to have technology expectations posted and establish when it is time to work on your Chromebook. This is what we do. This is how we use our Chromebook. This is how we use our technology, and lay out those expectations very specifically for students to hopefully help them be as successful as possible with the programs that we are using. And then in the middle of the room here, I have the student desks. Right now I have four per table, and ideally I would like to keep it at just 4, but depending on the class sizes, that would really determine how many I put at each table. And they are spaced out so that students have enough space to move around without having to hopefully trip on each other. And on the back of the chairs, I would like to have the pockets where they can put just simple, easy supplies that they can grab if needed, like a pencil, markers, whatever, simple, easy things. If there's specific supplies that they need for the centers that day, I'll have it put in the middle of the table as often as possible so it's easy for them all to get to it, but then it's also not taking up space in their chair pockets. So that is, and then I have this table over here that I'd like to designate for a technology station where they can come and work on their Chromebooks, or if they just need some space, they can come over here and work, and this can be a technology focused area. So that is, and I have windows along this wall as well. And that is all I have today, and thank you so much. And that's just a little bit of a brief overview of my room design project. Thank you.